check it. They call me K-A-S-T. Yes, yes indeed. Yeah, yes indeed. Why? They call them B-A-C-K. Yes, yes indeed. Yeah, yes indeed. Say why they call me K-A-S-T. Yes, yes indeed. Yes indeed.
Okay, so why'd you call the new album Circa '01?
That was a me idea. I had to be real. A lot of it has to do with backpack sound that he was providing me. It just reminded me of the classic Rockefeller era. And, you know, that was the era where I fell in love with like listening to lyric driven hip hop, you know, and just those sample beats. So it just brought me back to that time and just my life at that time, you know, sitting on the porch playing, you know, music that was coming out at the time, specifically the mixtape stuff. You know what I mean? And like I said, that was a year I really like just became like super fanned out of hip hop for me. Yeah.
Sure. And then I agree with the name, honestly, because like whenever I make beats, I always tell people whenever I make beats, like I want it to sound like Rockefeller 2001. Like even before like this came out, you know, like I've always said that I want my beats to sound like Rockefeller 2001. Cause even like, you know, stuff like Blueprint 1, Kanye, Bink, Just Blaze, you know, like that was always like whenever I was making beats, that was always like my blueprint, you know, whenever I was always, you know, coming to making beats. And like Blueprint 1 was like the first album that like I specifically remember listening to front to back. And you know, so whenever I started making beats and you know, getting that inspiration from making beats, like I always go back to, you know, like that point in time, you know, just Rockefeller at the time. So whenever we started making this music, you know, everything that I was, you know, sending to Kastaway, like just had that sound, and, you know, just the way that his lyricism just matched up with the production, it just gave that, you know, gave that feeling. So, you know, the title just fit.
Yeah, and the piggyback off what Backpack said, the Blueprint was the album that changed everything for me. I got sisters and they like 10 and 12 years older. And my sister Angel, I remember she was taking me somewhere and she was playing Blueprint in the car. This is like right when it came out. And I heard Takeover for the first time. And I'm like, yo, this is messy. This is messy. I like this. This is messy. But the beats grabbed me. And again, that was the first time where I was paying attention to what people were saying on the album. But it was like shortly before that, they was playing the Beanie Siegel versus Jadakiss stuff on the radio. And it was literally like weeks before that album came out. So, you know, when the Blueprint came out, my sister had it in the car, it changed everything for me. Like, I was listening to a lot of Bone Thugs and Harmony before that. Still love Bone Thugs and Harmony, but when that came out, it was over with. Like, that's all I wanted to hear was just those sample-based beats and just bars. That's it. Yeah.
I'm going to veer off from my questions for a second. Two things. Blueprint or Reasonable Doubt?
All right. All right.
For both of you.
You want to answer first, Backpack?
Yeah, it's easy for me. I mean, UPA post office came through today, you know. So I mean, hey, Reasonable Doubt came through in all its forms today, you know. So mail was good to me today, but for me, it's always Blueprint 1. Just from like, just for, I guess like life for me. Like I said, I had to go back to listen to Reasonable Doubt. You know, like I went to listen to I remember listening to H to the Izzo like in real time. Like, you know, what is this? You know, I remember being in a barbershop watching Mad Sports, you know, in Cedar's World, and, you know, seeing H to the Izzo, and, you know, seeing girls, and, you know, like seeing that Kanye production, and like having my mind blown, you know, listening and seeing that stuff in real time. And then it wasn't until, like I was in high school or something like that I went to go see Reasonable Doubt and listen to Reasonable Doubt. And so just like for that's always why Blueprint 1 is like always going to be like forever like top dog for me.
The MC in me is gonna say Reasonable Doubt, just from a technical standpoint. The stuff that he was saying and the way he was rapping, to me, is some of the best rapping ever. But because I got to experience Blueprint a different way, I was in 7th grade when Blueprint came out. And like I got to see when he premiered H to the Izzo on the BET Awards. Like, so I got to live it. But I also remember watching Kid Knock the Hustle video in 1st, 2nd grade. But where I was from, North Lawndale, it was such a Tupac like fan neighborhood that if you liked anything on the East Coast, you had to keep it close. Like, you couldn't say nothing. Now, my sister didn't care. My sister listened to whatever she liked. But, I didn't want to get jumped for saying I like East Coast rap back then. You know what I mean? So I couldn't appreciate Reasonable Doubt at such a young age. But Blueprint, for the actual connection to it, I'll say Blueprint. But as far as straight up rhymes, like the MC in me is going to go Reasonable Doubt.
That's fair. Y'all killing me, man. I was 25 when Blueprint came out. Man, you talking about 7th grade. I was 25 years old.
And that's around the age my sisters them, like they were around that age,
Mm-hmm.
And I grew up around older people, so I was always listening to like older hip hop. And in fact, believe it or not, I credit Blueprint for making me a better student. Because I wanted to understand what he was talking about. Same thing with Stillmatic came out. I wanted to understand this stuff, and it made me want to read. You know what I mean? And it kept me out of trouble, believe it or not. Like just that era of hip hop, because there was the glorification of the street stuff, but there was also like the dark side too. And I remember hearing Beanie Siegel, "What's Your Life Like?" And I'm like, yo, I ain't ever going to jail. Yo, if it's like that, I'm good. You know what I mean? So, but Blueprint is the reason why I think I ended up becoming, an educator, because it made me want to read. It made me love words.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge.
And then like with me, like I'm from like a country part of Northwest Florida. You know what I'm saying? So like, whenever I was younger, like, my family, they weren't listening to Reasonable Doubt. They probably weren't like really paying attention, to like a Jay-Z record until maybe like Volume 1, or, like maybe like Can I Get a or something like that, And like my stepdad, he's from North Carolina, and I randomly found Blueprint 1 like in a closet somewhere. Oh, and I think it was probably because of him that the CD was even in there. You know what I'm saying? So that's whenever that experience really started coming in. I was like, oh, it's a Jay-Z CD. I know Jay-Z. H to the Izzo. So something like that. So being able to experience that differently. But now, like being a student of the game, it's just like, experiences are a little bit different now, So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I guess that was it like 2 years ago when I saw y'all at Roberts, and maybe it was last year.
It was last year.
Last
summer, yeah.
And you were talking about the album. Going back, how did you two initially get together to do this album?
I met Backpack first from one of my closest friends. He's like a brother, Drew Mitchell, who owns 606 Records. He put out like a compilation album, and he was doing like a release event, and Backpack was like DJing. He was DJing, but he was doing these like mashups, and I remember him playing some stuff, and I'm like, yo, this fire. And then he said, yo, we gonna work. But I ain't gonna lie, I thought he was just saying that. I'm keeping 100. I thought he was just saying that because everybody say we gonna work. But then I ran into him again. I kept running into him at different events. But then there was our mutual, both our friend AM Early Morning. He was doing he did an album with Backpack and Jujilla.
Yeah.
It was their album release, and you know, Backpack was like, "Yo, you want to do it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to do it." And he started playing beats to kick off the show. And I saw all these rappers going crazy, and I'm like, "Yo, I ain't finna get none of these beats." I remember 2 days later, Backpack hit me with the pack, and it was over with. It was over with. Like, I just started working that night.
Yeah. Yeah. Like pretty much like that's pretty much the story right there.
Yep.
You know, and like piggybacking off of that, like AM Early Morning, like he is literally the glue for everything.
Everything.
You know, like you know, just like talking about him, like I tell this story all the time, you know, like I moved to Chicago in 2018, and you know, it wasn't until like right after COVID, I went to I think it was like Late Night Early Mornings 3 album release show that that I went to, and that's wherever I met him. And you know, shout out to Jamonte. I went for Jamonte, and I didn't know who AM Early Morning was, and I was trying to send beats to Jamonte, and Jamonte was like, "Yo, be AM," and like through AM, I was able to meet like pretty much everybody in the Chicago scene, you know, and like I said, and that's like the other way I really got tight with Kastaway, you know, and because it was funny because like I started just like piecing everything together like right after the 606 compilation, and you know, it's like I say this all the time to people, like I don't like producers for real, I don't like rappers for real, but like if I like you, like we really lock in, you know, because I think like with my production, like it takes a certain type of person to really like do the beats justice, because like I think that highly of my production. And then like it's not just loops, you know, like they're actually like full on production. So you actually got to like have something of substance to, you know, to rhyme on it. So like if I'm saying that we're going to work, like we're really going to work, you know, and that's how we got this project here, you know.
Yeah, and I might be jumping ahead, but the dope thing, even though we like met a few times before working together, like we got to know each other while working together and realized like we got a lot of stuff in common, which made it even doper and made our chemistry even doper. Because when I started working with him and I started like sending him different songs, I was a little nervous, like, man, I don't know if you're gonna like this, because you know, I know you just did this joint with AM Early Morning and Jujilla, and they more so, especially AM at that time, he was more so like rapping about the hustler lifestyle, which, you know, I'm a fan of, but I be coming with like all kinds of subjects that just ain't always, you know, the typical stuff you would hear from a regular hood rapper. But then when we start talking about different type of music we like we both like Lil Brother. We mentioned Common B, even though that came out 2005. Like, it's like, oh, snap. Like, we speak the same language. Then outside of music, we like a lot of the same things. You know what I mean? So it just worked. You know what I mean? It worked. And like Backpack, I don't like a lot of people. I only love people because God told me to, but I don't really like them. I don't really like them. You know what I mean? I love them, but I don't like them. So, you know, to work with somebody like this at this capacity, I genuinely had to like you. You know what I mean? And yeah, man, that's how that came about.
I'm the same way. I don't like a lot of people. It's yeah. That's why if you see me out, it's a big deal.
I know.
Word.
Because it's hard, man. It's hard for me being around people.
Yeah.
What led to you moving to Chicago?
Real simple. So like I said, I'm from Florida. I went to college at FAMU. So I went to college for broadcast journalism, and I met my wife there. My wife is from Chicago. She's from Beverly. You know, born and raised. Got married in 2018. We met in 2011. No, we met in 2010. Started dating 2011. Got married 2016. And we're just like, nothing's going on in Florida. Like, we were trying to figure out which ways to move. Like, was it Atlanta? Was it Charlotte? You know, like, we didn't know where to go. We were just like, let's go back to Chicago. So I found a job here, and the best move like I could have ever made. And it's funny because like my heart has always been, Chicago. Like my favorite producers from Chicago, that's Kanye. My favorite singers from Chicago, that's Shaka Khan. A lot of my favorite music was recorded here. Whether that's like stuff that Phyllis Hyman did or like stuff that, Herbie Hancock did, like Chess Records, like stuff like that. So like a whole bunch of history is in the city. So it was just like it was, it was God, it was destiny, for me to be here. So yeah. So long story short, met my wife, got married, got a job, moved up here. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny. This thought just hit me because I know you got your questions, but you know how Primo is really from Texas, but he rep Brooklyn. That's like Backpack at this point. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
because he pretty much is one of, if not the premier Chicago producer at this point. But he's from Florida. You know what I mean? But we don't mind. We'll take him. We'll claim him.
I'm here. I'm
Right.
here.
Word.
I'm intrigued by you saying Kanye is your favorite. He's one of my favorites too. I feel like because I don't know why, but I feel like he doesn't get the respect in some circles as a producer. Maybe because of the raps. I don't know, but I'm not even talking about the last 10 years of Kanye. I'm talking old Kanye. I was listening to it's the Common album, not B, the one that Finding Forever.
Forever, yeah.
And he did the Game on there.
Oh yeah.
And that is nuts.
Yeah.
It's like some African sample or something. It's crazy. Yeah. And I'm like, how can this dude was on fire, man? This dude was really incredible.
He really was.
Yeah. Like I know, like for me, like what really made me gravitate like towards that was, I think it was him as a producer. So it was just the whole Kanye as a whole for me, right? So it was, because like I said, this was, I was like 12, 13 or whatever, right? So this is whenever, because I was already playing instruments. I started playing drums and piano like in my church, and I was in the middle school band and like all that stuff. And this is whenever I was starting to make my own music and stuff as well. So this was me, making my own beats, and this was me like coming into trying to be an MC as well. So I was like, oh, this guy Kanye is doing this. I like wearing polos as well. I was like, oh, Kanye's doing stuff like this as well. So it was just all of that. And then I was like, oh, all the stuff that he makes is super fire as well. So it was like all of that, and then slowly finding my way around the internet, whatever the internet was, the AOL CDs that you got, just like figuring out, the credits and the stuff that he produced, like some of the stuff that, some of the stuff that I even like, besides like College Dropout, was like a lot of the B-sides that he produced as well. Like, one of my favorite joints that he produced was, Where You Want to Be from Brandy's Aphrodisiac album that featuring T.I. Like that's one of my favorite joints, and it's an R&B joint. You know what I'm saying? So and then like, everything that he's dropped like since then, was like always a moment in time for me. Me in like country Florida, that was, something that I always gravitated towards. That's always been like that for me. It was like, I'm not gonna say he was Michael Jackson to me, but he was very, very close.
Yeah, I mean, I don't mess with him now at all, but
felt.
I mean, you couldn't find a bigger Kanye cheerleader than me when he was, and it was because I'm just Chicagoan to the bone. Like I'm just like, Twista did okay, Common did okay, the Brat did great, but the brat. So to me,
Don't be hating on the brat, yo.
no, she from my area. No, I'm not. She from my hood. I'm not hating on her, but I'm saying like it's just different. It's female rap is just different.
Yeah, she did her thing.
No, without a doubt. I'm not hating on the brat.
Okay. No, I'm West Side biased, so you already know.
I'm West Side biased too. She's from my hood, man.
Yeah.
Like she's anyway. I thought he was the one, and he turned out to be. I thought he was the one to put Chicago on the hip hop map. That's all I ever wanted was for Chicago to be on the hip hop map. And without him, Twista don't go platinum. Common is now platinum.
Yep.
He brought those guys up, and he put a light on the city. Now it's like when people talk about hip hop, they talk about Chicago. If it, drill, whatever it is, we got our place. And he was the guy that did that.
Another thing that Kanye did, as you talk, for me, because we from out west. If you grew up in Chicago, Twista was the guy. Everybody rapped like that. Everybody sounded like that. Twista flow was like your rapper starter pack, right? Like that's how you learn how to rap, doing the double time flow. Kanye made it cool for you to rap different and be from the city. I don't know if people give him that credit, because when I was growing up, we wasn't listening. Like my sister, again, she's the exception to the rule. She listened to lyrical MCs. She's a huge Common fan. But outside on my block, they wasn't playing Common. They was playing Twista, Crucial Conflict, Do or Die.
Psychodrama.
Yep, Psychodrama. Mm-hmm. And when I started like rapping like an East Coast rapper, I felt like, dang, people may not get this. And I was a kid, but I started wanting to rap like the East Coast rappers. Kanye came out rapping like with the East Coast sound, and he made it cool. So then after that, you get the Lupes and the Bump J's and all that. It was like somebody else from Chicago broke through with another sound. Because I'm from North London. I'm from 19th and Trumbull, and everybody know your first rhyme is kicking to the door with the fofo. Kanye came and changed all of that. And thank God he did. I love Twista, and Twista is a GOAT for me. He is, as far as the streets is concerned, he is he is Chicago. You know what I mean? Kanye gave us a different sound, and he made me feel comfortable rapping the way I rap.
You got to give credit though. He got that from Common. Like it's like,
of course he did. But I'm talking about like making it accepted in the hood though. Like, Much as I love Common is my top 3 MCs of all time. Let's just be real. He's my top 3 MCs of all time. But Kanye made it cool, like to be in the hood, and not having to rap like Twista.
Yes. Well, you know what it was, and I don't want to make this all about Kanye, and we're gonna get to that. But it's like his music was accessible to the women, to like, you know what I mean? Like it was like crossover kind of music that the hood accepted. Like they really didn't accept Common until, well, they accepted the light, but they didn't really accept him until Kanye did his album.
Yeah.
And it's like he brought that soul. He brought the soul, and that's super important. Speaking of soul, Circa 01, the title track, it has like an interesting sound in it. Without snitching, what is that sound? Is it like a xylophone? What genre did you sample that sound from?
I guess you could say it's probably like a marimba or like a xylophone, something like that. Cool little video game joints. Nothing too crazy. So
video games.
Cool. Yeah. Shout out.
It's one of those if you know joints.
Yeah.
Okay. So. I do not know. Okay. So what's it? I seen you.
Yeah, I'll send it to you.
Okay. Appreciate it.
Got you.
What was it? In February, water. What's the Renaissance?
Yeah.
That's
I
our
see.
culture.
Yeah, Renaissance of the culture, and I saw you playing beats up there, killing it. What is that? The 404 you playing with?
Yeah. We were on the 404 MK2. Yeah, the good old trusty MK2 over here. Yeah.
Okay, is that what you primarily produce with?
No, that's what I primarily perform with because it's
Okay.
the smallest to take with me. So I'm normally on the machine. I've been using machine it's 2026. I've been using machine for like 15 years. So yeah. So it's a mixture of the machine. I'll plug it in to the 404 just like for effects and things like that. So yeah. I'll say I'll use the machine like 97% of the time. That other 3 is the NPC sample, and I make beats a little bit with the 404. But yeah, mostly the machine.
Okay. Now, on the song Flow, Kastaway, you speak about gang violence in the city. And you say they still don't get it, how strong we'll be if we united. I heard somebody say that it was an African guy. I don't remember his name. But he said that he was saying like there's no unity in Africa. And he was saying like people are innately tribal. Like we're over here, you over there. You see it with different nationalities. You see it with sports teams, high school, college. There's always like a rivalry or opposition. And unfortunately, you see it in different neighborhoods and different ethnicities. Is the gang violence merely tribal, in your opinion? And overall, what kind of change could we bring about to make sure that we are united?
All right. So that's a good question. Nobody ever asked me that question. I feel like the reasons behind gang violence changed over time, right? And I'm gonna be truthful. That song was inspired by one of my students. I was coming from one of the schools I support, and there's a kid who I love him dearly, and unfortunately he's locked up right now. Still in touch with him and everything. And I think I was just frustrated about his situation, and that's what came about. You know what I mean? And when I think of these youngins and these little kids who still out there doing what they do, I think a lot of it is clout based. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of it has to do with clout now. You know what I mean? Because my generation, yeah, we fought, we did crazy stuff, but we weren't like doing it for like the attention of the masses, right? Like these kids be doing wild stuff and they social media heavy with it. You know what I mean? And they get so much attention from it. And, this is from my experience working with some of these kids. I'm not saying it's fact. I'm just saying it's what I experienced. They get so much in their mind, positive attention from it, right? In their mind, almost like positive reinforcement, right? Even when you think about, like, say for instance, they get in trouble when they get in school, like they getting more attention off getting in trouble than doing something good. You know what I mean? So I can't answer like the root cause and if it's tribal or not, but I can say I did hear that same thing that you said.
Okay.
I did hear, about a lot of things being tribal, and then I also heard it connecting back to Africa and things being tribal. Whether it's true or not, I don't know, but I could tell you I don't like it. And let me take a step back. This may sound crazy. I don't have a problem with gangs. I don't have a problem with crews. You rep your hood, cool. But do we have to die from it? That's where my problem comes in. And as I get older, that's kind of my mindset is, dang, we ain't got to die from this. When I was younger, I was kind of entertained by this, I don't know if we can curse on here, but
Whatever you want
I
to
was
say.
entertained by a lot of this gangster shit. gang banging and all this shit. But now that I'm older and I'm seeing the impact on our babies, I'm just like, nah, man, I can't no more. You know what I mean? I can't. So I don't want people, especially people in my generation, like, yo, why you hate no gangs? You got family that's still gang bang. No, I don't have a problem with gangs. I have a problem with dying because we repping the gang or you don't like the ops and all that shit. I'm tired of that. You know what I mean? I'm tired of that. And that's what I want to see change. You know what I mean? And I know that the African person might have said that, but I wonder would that same African person say that going through Little Village? Because they going through it too. You know what I mean? It just may not be as publicized as, what black people are facing, because we always put out there negatively, right? But there's gangs in the Mexican community. There's gangs in the Puerto Rican community. There's kids dying in both communities. But our shit is always put on Front Street.
Yeah, no, I don't think he was saying it as like a black people thing. He's saying in general, people are tribal.
I thought you were talking about only Africa. Yeah.
No,
now I heard
everybody.
That too. So I also heard people in general are tribal, right? And then I also heard that somebody also told me there's like an innate need for us to fight. This is why we have wars. You know what I mean? That's what somebody told me. I'm not saying it's right, but this is, But I don't know if I answered your question, but
it's fine.
I don't know if it's real tribal or not. If that's 100% fact, like a scientific fact, but I could just tell you, I ain't got a problem with people being in cliques or even gangs. I don't want to see no more babies dying. That's all I know.
You know what just popped in my head? Was Tupac. Like, we're going on 30 years since he's been gone, and he died on some gang shit, like trying to avenge a chain. Or it's somebody took a death row chain or something, and he jumped the guy, and the guy.
Yeah, or what's his name? Orlando
Anderson or something.
Yeah. And he wasn't, and Tupac wasn't even like from LA. That's LA business.
But he was riding with.
He was. People. But somebody should have told him, like, you stay in your place, right? But
he was the first one to jump the dude. He was the first one to approach the dude.
No, like cities like LA and Chicago, we got gang politics, and you got to follow them. You got to follow them whether you in a gang or not. You got to follow them. Like for me, I know I ain't gonna be in a certain neighborhood wearing my hat a certain way, and I'm a neutron. You know what I mean? You don't do that. You got to follow the gang politics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm going back. I'm going to see. You couldn't go see girls in certain neighborhoods.
I'm still the same way.
Well, that's smart. But like I remember like calling myself like trying to holler at this girl and walking her to her house on North Avenue and by Central.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
And these dudes just start following us. And she was like, I think you better leave. I think you better go now.
Yep.
Like they don't know me. I'm walking around here like I'm, you know what I mean?
It's still the same way.
Yeah, you just can't go everywhere. You can't do everything.
Nope.
But it's fucking stupid. Let's keep it real.
It is. But you still, stupid. If you want to live though, you're gonna follow them rules.
Oh yeah, you can't.
You know what I mean? Like I think it's stupid too. But you ain't gonna find me in certain areas. Like I'm from Lawndale. I got people in certain situations, and it ain't got nothing to do with me. But because I'm related to them, I can't walk on certain blocks. Mm-hmm. And if I do, I'm in and I'm out. You know what I mean? Like I'm in and out. And mind you, I work in my community I grew up in. So even on the clock, I'm in and I'm out. And it's messed up. I hate it. It's stupid. But it's the way the city is.
It's my point about Tupac. It's not just it's definitely our city, but it's other places too. We lost a giant over some stupid shit. Like
Yep. Yep.
legend, and you know,
Now
I'm with you.
He ain't my favorite. I mean, he's one of my favorite rappers. He ain't my number one, but he's my number one person in hip hop history.
Mm-hmm.
Like my number one person, like the person I like the most. Like it's especially as I get older, it's like, man, he was so young. You know what I mean?
25.
And I'm in my 30s, and I feel like the spirit of what he's saying is resonating with me now at this age. Sometimes I listen to him, and I ain't never said this in front of Backpack, and I'll just cry. I just cry because it's the stuff he's saying. It hits me that deep, and the fact that it's still relevant now. You know what I mean? And he said something about, you know, people who are, you know, in like social justice movement, especially black people being burned out in their 30s. I listen to that interview and I tell myself, don't be this person. Like, because what he was saying was true. A lot of us are burned out in our 30s. But because he said it, I want to keep finding ways to be inspired to keep fighting the fight past my 30s, you know? Past my 30s. You know?
I guess, you know, I'm talking about him being murdered and how terrible it is, but that inspiration will live longer than all of us. There's somebody 100 years from now that's going to have the same thing that you have. You know what I mean? Like they're going to be inspired to keep fighting, to keep doing whatever because of something he said in the 90s. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. God is Love. That's an interesting song that speaks about religious guilt. How were you able to overcome those ideas and realize that God is love?
I still struggle with them, to keep it real. No. That was a song I was scared of doing. I was scared of singing at the Backpack, believe it or not. But my friend Words, I talked to him like, yo, you think this cool to rap about? He was like, as long as it ain't corny. And he was like, I don't think you had that problem, so you should be good. But it is something I struggle with because when I was younger, I ain't gonna say who because I'm still close, but there's this pastor. He would say things like, there's subliminal messages in rap music, and this is in the 90s. And one group he brought up was Bone Thugs-n-Harmony, and I love Bone, but I got so scared I threw my East 99 CD out the window. Now, man, I play East 99 every day, you know, every day, not every day, but a lot, you know what I mean? But it was things that was planted in me that honestly was the root cause of the anxieties I struggle with in my life in general. But I read this book called Healing Spiritual Wounds, and I found it as a joke to kind of get back at this particular person. But then I start reading and I'm like, oh, snap, this is like healing for me. And that changed a lot for me. That let me know, like, you know, God loves us all, no matter how jacked up we are, no matter how squeaky clean we think we are. Like, he really, really rocked with us. And then when I learned more about, you know, Jesus, he really rocked with like the sinners, you know what I mean? The tax collectors, all the people that would be judged now. That's who he rocked with, you know what I mean? And me knowing that kind of helps me in times where I feel like I ain't worthy, you know? So that's kind of what inspired that song. And my god brother who has a sister who left just the whole idea of spirituality because of her anxiety. And I'm like, man, this religious anxiety is a real thing. You know,
it's definitely real, and it's unnecessary. It's
very,
like, you know, we should really be, if for lack of a better term, focusing on the good. You know, we tend to try to scare people with religion, like, oh, you know, this is you're gonna burn for eternity. you know, and it's like we're all sinners, right? Like, there's no way. Yeah,
I mean that's like the you go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was like, that's like the similar that's kind of like the similar experience like I had, and that's kind of like why I was totally fine with the song too. You know, I told Castaway, I was like, the song was dope. I may not have told him how much I like the song actually, because like, you know, me, I'm, you know, Southern Baptist, you know, so that's the land of, you know, if you don't do such and such, you gonna burn in hell for eternity, you know. And you know, with me, you know, I'm my grandfather's shadow. My grandfather's one of the head deacons of the church, you know. So, you know, if I'm not at school, if I'm not at sports practice, I'm at church. You know, if it's not Bible study, it's choir rehearsal. If it's not choir rehearsal, it's Sunday school. If it's not Sunday school, it's Sunday service. If it's not Sunday service, it's night service. If it's not night service, it's a revival somewhere. Or I'm playing drums somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So like that's life. You know what I'm saying? So then like, you know, I still get nervous, you know, playing, you know, like my fam, like a lot of my family, like especially like my grandparents, they know I do music. Do I play some of it for them? I still, you know, be uncomfortable playing some of it for them because like, you know, it ain't gospel, you know, and even whenever I started doing music as a Christian hip hop artist. You know what I'm saying? So like whenever I started as a teenager, I was just like, that's what I was doing. I was doing that at church, but was I listening to Rockefeller all day? Yes, I was. You know what I'm saying? And then like I remember like, you know how Kastaway, similar situation with, you know, with Bone Thugs. I remember when that Rolling Stones cover of Kanye, when the headline said "The Passion of Kanye West," like when he was dressed like, you know, Jesus with
the crown,
I remember, you know, my pastor's sitting there at the pulpit. He was like, "This is what our people, you know, our kids are listening to," you know, like sort of thing right there. And I was just like, okay, you know. And so then like, you know, I'm doing this, you know, on Sundays, but then I'm doing this, you know, every day, you know, other day, you know. So that song like really resonated with me. So like whenever I heard you know, when I got the track back, I was like, we're getting somewhere. Okay, this is why we are working on the project, you know. So yeah,
And
you know, so
that song scares me. I really was afraid of like, especially, you know, the hood hip hop fans, like hearing that. I thought they thought it was gonna be corny or something, but nah, it came out cool. You know what I mean? Like, and it helps that you got someone like Backpack, because if the beat was whack, boy, that song could have went to hell, for lack of a better term.
for sure. Because I mean, like when people see I'm pretty sure when people see like the title of the song, they might, you know, think a certain way. They might want to skip it, but then like, you know, whenever they let it play, it's just like, you know, whenever those drums hit, they was just like, you know, and then like whenever the verse comes, like, you know, you hear the hook, you know, it's like, okay, let me listen. But then like whenever you hear the verse, it's just like, okay, I'm wrapped in. And then like by the time like you're like, I'm cool, you're already in the song. And then by the time you're like, oh, okay, I want more, the song's done. You know what I'm saying? So you got to run it back.
Man, there's so much I want to touch on with that. But we could talk about that forever. Yeah, let's move on. Last question.
Word.
What do you guys hope to achieve with Circa 01?
Man, you be asking some good questions. I don't be walking around thinking like that. You know what I mean? I just, you know, for me, I initially wanted to make like this about to sound super cheesy, but I don't give a shit. I initially wanted to make an album with Backpack that was as good as his project with AM Early Morning and Jujilla. Cause that album, it's an EP, but it's addictive. You know what I mean? Like, it's addictive. Not only did I do something different with Backpack as far as like content and all that, but I feel like, oh, this is where it gets cheesy, but I'm a real emotional character. You should know me by now. I got a real friend out this whole thing. So, you know, this to me is like Like I talked to, my uncle and my godfather who are both pastors. Like, man, that's the best thing about this project is working with, Devontae. You know what I mean? So the music is doing some stuff that that I'm grateful is doing, being picked for the Apple Music playlist, you know what I mean? Getting certain looks from this, certain, I don't want to call them gatekeepers in the city, but you can say that they're like that. But more than that, like Backpack my homie, like we talk almost every day type shit, like about some of everything, you know what I mean? So I feel like I got the greatest gift out the music was a real friend, because I don't like a lot of people. And I definitely don't like a lot of people in this whole music thing. But it's some people I'm really cool with that's real genuine. But like, nah, I got like a real friend out the bunch. Like this is cool. And I feel like that's why the music is hitting the way it's hitting, because, it's coming from two genuinely like cool people, but people who are cool with each other. And like, so I feel like I achieved some stuff with it already that I'm grateful for. But also, another thing I wanted to achieve was to show, like, I'm one of the nicest people rapping, period. Like, there's layers to what I do. Like, some people, they got punchlines. Some people got humor. Like, I'm a whole different beast. And I understand if you don't listen to me every day. But I'm also like, that good home cooked meal. You ain't gonna have this every day anyway. You gonna have your fast food, but this something different. And I wanted this project to be looked at that way. You know what I mean? Like, Fillmore Green has this term that he uses. I like heavyweight rap. This is heavyweight rap for real. Like, for real. This is its own beast. And I wanted to be recognized. I wanted to be recognized as one of the best hip hop albums, period. Not just Chicago, but definitely one of those ones, like, and I feel like I'm starting to get that. You know what I mean? So those are things I want to achieve, to show like there's a difference. Everybody can rap. But this is something different. It's spiritual. This is spiritual. It's different,
Yeah, like pretty much everything that he said, for real. Like with me, it's like, you're like my real friend or not. Like, you're my friend or not. Like, if you call me Backpack, you're not my friend for real. But like, if you call me Devontae, like, you're my friend for real. You know what I'm saying? And like, he's my friend for real. You know what I'm saying? So like I said, like, I don't really be talking to everybody every day. Like, we've established, like, I don't be kicking it with people like that. You know what I'm saying? Only thing is, he just hadn't been to the crib yet. We still got to make that happen. But like, we be everywhere else. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, and I don't go out. But like, we were just at the Patrice Rushen show last week. He was like chilling. Like, he's chilling with my kid. And everybody don't be with my kid. And so like, that is like the big thing. Like I said, like, I really want to show, I've worked with names before, you know what I'm saying? Like, before this album, I was just on Supreme Clientele too. Like, before that, it was Kanye and Ghostface, you know what I'm saying? And I want to show people that this album is just as nice as all of that stuff as well. You see what I'm saying? Like Kastaway said, like, we've done the Apple Music, we've done the Sirius XM, like, we've done all of this stuff, and we don't have to drop another project 2 months from now to stay afloat. You see what I'm saying? Like, we want to show people that, like, you don't have to do that and still make meaningful music that still hits. A lot of people do that, and no knock to them.
Right.
Like, we want to show you that you don't have to do that to do it. Through him, I've been able to, have a dream of mine fulfilled, as far as, putting stuff out on vinyl, like, with my name on it, for real. you know, even like through artwork. Shouts out to Craig Dye.
Yeah, Craig Dye,
You know,
for
shouts
sure.
out, you know, shouts out to him. Shouts out to Sugar Records, and you know, shouts out to
Yeah, shout out to Sugar
you know
Records.
all of these people.
Yep.
And these are like relationships that I've been able to, you know, cultivate, and then like, you know, using my network to, you know, cultivate relationships, you know, with Kastaway, you know, doing all of that, you know, so all of that has like really just been able to like manifest like through just like on some let's work. You know
And
what I'm
we
saying?
lift
So,
each other up too. That's like
exactly.
he put me in, and like, I don't know if I should let the cat out the bag, but I work with Easy LP. You know what I mean?
That
This the
part.
dude who
Yeah.
did Shine, Bad Boy. Shine is one. I mean, Bad Boy is one of those songs you play in my neighborhood. Everybody know it word for word. You know what I mean? He worked with Biggie. He worked with Nas. He worked with Capone and Noriega. I was probably one of the first people that Backpack put on to Easy, you know, put with Easy LP, and we in the studio just knocking out joints, you know. And he put me with other producers. Like my next 2 projects is because of Backpack. You know what I mean? And Backpack's on them. Like he's still involved. Like I still run joints through him. You know, like this don't stop here. You know what I mean? This don't stop here. Like we always working on something. You know what I mean? And even with my next solo joint, I'm still running songs through him. You know?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing. Like this project is like basically, like I said, just saying like we're just as nice. Like we're just as nice. It's like everybody that like you know, I don't necessarily care about, I ain't gonna lie, I do care about lists. But like every list that like, you know, everybody's coming out with, like we should be on those lists. Cause I ain't gonna lie, I do feel like, you know, I don't necessarily care about like the national list or whatever. Cause I do feel like I'm nice as like a conductor or like a you know, like anybody that's, you know, on those types of, you know, that type of caliber. I feel like I'm just as nice. You know what I'm saying? That's why I've been dropping these beat tapes every month. You know, and everything that we drop, like an album like this, is proving that. You know, so you know, we want this project to show that you shouldn't leave me off as don't leave me off of any producer list, and don't leave Kastaway off of any MC list. You know, that's what this is about.
Perfect. All right. Kastaway, Backpack Beatz. Thank you for joining therealhiphop.com.
Thank you for having us, man. This is a ball.
Yeah.
No doubt. Peace.
Hey yo, come on now. That one player that they tried to bench is on the throne now. Reside where my mind lives. A castle is my home now. No squad or a label selling vinyl on my own now. With my little success, so many feel entitled. In the mirror, I see my star player and my rival. I had to learn to stop fighting niggas that I had eyeful, especially when they lacking vision. Me, I got an eyeful. I read bullshit, got my wings to fly by. You gave you the boot with no intentions to try to spite you. I'm about it for real. Keep trying if you like to. Me, your